Boston Harbor Cruises is not only the nation's largest private operator of passenger vessels, it's also a family tradition since 1926, offering more than 500 trips per day in peak season with 48 vessels and a seasonal workforce topping 600. It's the largest maritime employer in the city of Boston. Now, although they're all known for their harbor cruises, whale watching expeditions, and trips to George's Island and others, Boston Harbor Cruises provide year-round water transportation to the Port of Boston. To tell us more about this company and also the fun activities already going on underway this summer, we've invited Alison Nolan, Principal and General Manager of Boston Harbor Cruises, the company she has quite literally been with her entire life. She was born and raised in the family business founded by her great-grandfather in 1926. Welcome to Urban Update, Alison. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And wow, 90-year-old business and the nation's largest private operator of passenger vessels. I bet most folks don't know about that.
Yeah, Boston Harbor Cruises has been around since 1926, as you mentioned. My great-grandfather founded it. He was an original West Ender, and he was that kid that just loved boats and wanting nothing more to be a boat captain. So we started out with a one-vessel operation, and it was on the Charles River. And what we were doing was offering 30-minute rides to area residents to beat the harbor heat in the summer. So you can imagine how hot it was to live in a third-story walk-up in the West End in July. And those trips were 30 minutes for 10 cents. We moved over to Long Wharf in the late 1960s and have been there ever since.
Wow. Now, you grew up in the family business, of course. Yep. How old were you when you started? And I guess, what did you do? How did you work your way into the business? And at what age?
Yeah. So you can imagine being in a harbor cruise company in the summer in a family business. You were around the wharfs all the time as a kid. So my first job, I remember, was picking up trash and keeping the wharf clean, and I made $2.50 under the table. I was 12. I think I thought that that was an official job. Probably not. I think they were trying to keep me busy. And I worked there summers, all throughout high school and college, and worked my way up through the company.
Now, did you immediately know that you were going to be going into the family business when you were a child?
I didn't, no. And as you can imagine, Boston Harbor, when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, and the waterfront was a much different place. This was before the Boston Harbor cleanup and the redevelopment of the waterfront and the depression of the Central Artery. So it wasn't really as attractive a company as it is now to come work. So I didn't really make that decision until my early 20s.
Wow, okay. Now let's talk to remind our viewers of some of the things that you can do with the Boston Harbor Cruises this summer, some of the fun stuff.
Sure. So as you mentioned, we have 500 departures every day. About half of those are commuter boats, but in the summer, half of those are all about fun. So we have ferries. We can take you to the Boston Harbor Islands, which is a national park area right here in our backyard. We can take you to Provincetown, to the National Seashore, up to Salem. If you want to go out and see a national marine sanctuary, we can take you out with the aquarium to Stellwagen Bank for a whale watch, which is an unbelievable trip, and the whale sightings have been great this summer. We can take you for a thrill ride on Codzilla and get you a little wet if it's hot out, or a sightseeing cruise and remind yourself about the great history here in the Port of Boston. You know,
I really always get great reviews. I hear people just absolutely love the whale watching trips, almost like a religious experience out there.
Yeah, we have so many unique resources here in Boston Harbor in our backyard that sometimes you need to be reminded about. And what's happened in the city with the harbor and the cleanup and the revitalization of the waterfront, it's our backyard. It's our new Boston Common and open space.
Wow. Now, besides all the fun stuff, you know, you've got the commuter boats. You actually do a lot in alleviating some of the traffic congestion in downtown Boston.
Yeah, Boston Harbor Cruises is really fortunate. We run the commuter services for the MBTA, so that means we have 11 boats that run year-round and take people to and from work. So right now we take about 5,700 people a day into the city of Boston for work and back home again, mostly from the South Shore and Charlestown right now.
Yeah, so you have the Hingham boat coming into Boston, or how does that work, or from where to where?
We have service right now out of Hingham and Hull and Charlestown, and that's under contract in conjunction with the MBTA. We have seasonal ferry service coming in from Salem for commuters, and also the town of Winthrop has made a great investment, and they have seasonal ferry service into Boston from Winthrop as well.
What do you see when you look down the road, when you think about water transportation and all the development that's coming into Boston?
You look at places like New York and you see Weehawken and Hoboken and look at the development that's happened there, and that's happening right now in Boston. So we have new density coming into the seaport that never existed before, And as developed as the seaport is and well utilized, there's still 65% more development to come. And the seaport was built in an area that was never envisioned for roads or mass transit infrastructure for this type of density. And I think what's really exciting is that water transportation can alleviate some of that transit pressure. And there's a lot of excitement about what can happen between Lovejoy Wharf, which is at North Station, bringing commuters in from the North Shore over to the seaport. So I think it's really exciting as the city develops around the harbor. That's going to create new opportunity for water transportation to not only be successful, but to really help the city and the people that live and work here get around and enjoy the harbor and their jobs and their residences.
It sounds like your business has actually really grown in the last decades with all of the development around the harbor as well.
Yeah, it has dramatically. We've almost doubled in size. Yeah.
Okay. Remind our viewers how they can get more information about Boston Harbor Cruises, the fun stuff, the commuter stuff.
Yeah. So we're right on Long Wharf, right in between the Marriott and the Aquarium. Our website's bostonharborcruises.com, and everything can be found there.
Okay. Alison Nolan, the general manager, principal of Boston Harbor Cruises, part of a 90-year family tradition. How many members of your families work in the business still?
So right now you have the third and fourth generation. I'm fourth generation, and there's four of us. So my dad and my uncle and my cousin Patrick and I.
Wow, impressive. Well, thanks for coming in, Alison, and good luck on the water.
Thank you for having me.
All right. In just a few moments, the launching of a worldwide application designed to give owners the ability to measure the usability of their websites. The details right here on Urban Update.